Would you rather be hated and loved for being in a state that you don't enjoy, or hated and loved for being in a state that you do enjoy? It's always people that add absolutely nothing to the vibe or feel entitled to the vibe being right for them rather than how they can contribute to the vibe that are constantly judging everyone around them. Hello angels, baddies and bitches. Welcome back to my channel. I'm Amber, a killer. We are in the business of being hot and having fun, cute, chaotic, and critical thinking. You can follow me on all of the things, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and SoundCloud for playlists and music. Subscribe to the podcast, Friend Crush with Amber, a Killer. These videos are also posted on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, I believe. Anyway, I hope everyone's doing well. Today's topic is how to get over a fear of being perceived. I get this question a lot, especially recently. I think it's also related to how to get over internalized cringe. For me as a millennial, I still remember what it was like to not have a smartphone. So I would go on a desktop computer to go on the internet, and I would mostly be doing like research and entertainment. I was really into music, into fashion, and then I would get off the computer and go outside. I think from the 2000s until now, over the last 2 decades, we've just become more and more online. Our screen time just continues to increase. We sort of consciously overlook the amount of work our subconscious mind is doing when we're just scrolling, constantly exposed to other people's lives. I'm sure there are some people who probably see more people online in a day than they do in real life, or you have more parasocial contact than you do actual social contact. And I think it's important to acknowledge the impact that this has on how you see others, how you think other people see you, and how you can reconcile with this relationship so that you can be hot and have fun. That's the goal, right? Learning to define what being hot and having fun means to you, and then having the courage to take steps towards executing it. Especially with the previous sort of approach to social media, everything being very curated, presenting an aspirational lifestyle, the highlight reel of the sort of 2010s, and then I think now shifting into the 2020 and beyond era, people are craving this sort of sense of authenticity, the photo dump, the casual, unfiltered content vis-a-vis TikTok rather than Facebook and Instagram. The thing is, when you are constantly scrolling through other people's lives, your subconscious is working overtime, processing and sort of sending messages, this feedback loop that you have that you might not be conscious of. You are very quickly deciding what you do and don't like, and maybe you are passing judgment on things that create or feed into any insecurities that you might have. So this is why I say it's important to unfollow any accounts that trigger unnecessary insecurity within you. If you feel insecure about your body, do not follow too many accounts that intentionally or don't intentionally convey a message that makes you feel like you are not good enough, or people who are living a certain lifestyle that is so far from your reality, and rather than it motivating you to make a change, it just kind of cripples you into your insecurity. The second thing, which is obvious, and I'm sure everybody is sick of hearing this, but people don't care about you as much as you think you do. We are all noticing and calculating what we do and don't like, who we do and don't relate to, but ultimately everyone is more concerned with their own problems. Even if someone is passing judgment on you, their judgment towards you isn't really going to affect you materially if you don't allow it. If you accept that people are going to judge me no matter what, whether I'm flopping or slaying. So I may as well just focus on how I feel and what I want to do and what my contribution is, rather than assuming that everybody else's judgment needs to be positive in order for me to take a step forward, in order for me to feel like I have permission to do what I want. Everything that I do now, I did not wait for permission to do. I, of course, had a lot of mental barriers around a lot of things, but I just kept having to hype myself up and tell myself that I'm just going to keep trying different things. This is something that's interesting to me, and any feedback that I get is going to be valuable, whether I agree with it or not. Anybody that does seem to care about you too much has their own problems, okay? Their problems are bigger than yours, because for somebody to be in someone else's business so much is not a healthy state of mind to be in. You need to ensure that you are on your own journey, that you are keeping your side of the street clean, and hopefully making at least a neutral to positive contribution to the world around you. If you are so deeply obsessed with somebody else and whether or not they measure up to your standard, or whether or not they're about to have their downfall, that's not a healthy mindset to be in, right? So especially in relation to the video I made where the price of slaying is haters, when you are starting to evolve out of your comfort zone and with what people are used to categorizing you as or seeing you as, you can experience pushback from that, especially from the people that are close to you that maybe enjoy or are just used to or prefer to see you in the state that you're in. And the fact that you are taking active steps to move out of that and to be hot and have fun, or to live your best life, or to get out of a flop era and into a slay era, there are people that might be uncomfortable with that. But that is not your problem. As long as you're not harming anyone in the process and you're not intentionally doing harm, it's other people's issue that you taking a risk, you wanting to work through your internal cringe, might trigger the insecurity that they have about the fact that they're not doing anything about their situation. That's just kind of inevitable and unavoidable. Another thing is, once you accept being cringe, you are free. Those memes aren't relatable for no reason. When you think about your comfort zone and then sort of like the boundaries of your ego, the boundaries of your comfort zone, and how you are used to identifying, moving out of that into the growth zone is going to be a little bit uncomfortable. It is going to be a bit unfamiliar. You do have to give up your life as it is now in order to live the life that you want. And the sooner that you accept that, and the sooner that you just embrace what feelings come with that, the easier it will be to manage, rather than trying to deny the way that you're feeling or shame yourself for the way that you're feeling. Embracing the way that you're feeling and often having a sense of humor about it is what's going to help you move forward. This is the thing, like, people like to see you when you are starting out, okay? They want to encourage you to do well. Then when you actually start doing well, that's when people start hating on you, because they're like, oh, they've actually made progress. They're actually seeing rewards for what they've done. I am being reminded of the fact that I've done nothing and it's making me uncomfortable. So that's so cringe of them to try. And then when you break through that barrier and you establish yourself as your new self, then you're celebrated again. So regardless of which stage you're at, there are going to be people that support you and there are going to be people that hate on you. And when you accept that, you are free, because it's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Would you rather be hated and loved for being in a state that you don't enjoy, or hated and loved for being in a state that you do enjoy? For me, it's obviously the latter, because as you work on yourself and you develop your skill set, develop your resources, you can have a more productive contribution to the world around you. And the feeling that you get from doing that and connecting with people that you have shared values with is so much more valuable than the approval of people who are too insecure or too lazy to do anything about their situation and projecting onto you, okay? Some people cannot be saved, and that's okay. You know, we all have to be responsible for our own slay, for our own ability to be hot and have fun. And when you accept that, that process is going to induce cringe within you and within others, you are free. The next point is that a lot of the times you start with the thing that you want to work towards. When you think about taking steps towards it, that's when you start feeling cringe. Or when you see other people doing things, you want to say that they are being cringe in order to make yourself feel like you are not cringe. And this is sort of a never-ending cycle if you don't break out of it. But if you start taking little steps towards the thing that you're working towards, embracing the cringe, having a sense of humor about it, rather than thinking that you need to be perfect and it's a flawless, seamless, frictionless, challenge-free journey, accepting that every step that you take, whether the feedback is positive or negative, desirable or undesirable, getting you closer to the thing you want or you feel like you're moving further away from it, all of that is information. Think of it like an experiment, think of it like a project, rather than following a perfect instruction guide. A lot of the times, there is no step-by-step path to get to where we want. you can only list the steps that you took in retrospect most of the time. No two journeys are necessarily exactly the same because everyone is coming from their own context, and accepting that who you are and what you're working with is going to be different to everybody else. So taking steps and adjusting, learning from your mistakes, learning from the challenges, embracing the challenges, okay, readjusting what your goal is, readjusting your approach, that is just part of the process. And I think that sometimes like our education can kind of influence that. Like when you're younger, you feel like, oh, I didn't do well on this test, so I'm going to get a bad grade. No one is going to tell you, oh, you lived life well or you didn't live life well. You are the person that's going to determine that at the end of your life. It's not up to the rest of the world, it's up to you. You are the person you're going to have the longest relationship with in this life. So you would hope that you can give yourself a positive performance review at best. If I'm happy with my decisions and the life that I'm living, I don't really care what other people think. But usually if I feel good about my life, there are other people that have also benefited from me making that effort and sharing what I have learned or what I have gained than if I had just stayed insecure and crippled by anxiety or crippled by the fear of being cringe. Next thing is that as you embrace cringe, as you embrace taking steps and learning from each stage, each relationship, each situation, rather than feeling like it has to be a good versus bad experience, good versus bad relationship, things just are the way that they are. And as long as you are in tune with your feelings and your goals and how your actions respond in service of these goals, you are naturally going to develop a healthier sense of self, and you are going to develop self-trust, okay? Because you are observing the way that you feel and the narrative that you have around your experience. And rather than feeling helpless, you think about how you can adjust your approach in order to ensure that you are moving towards a goal that you have defined for yourself and not some external goal that you've just internalized via society, your family, your friends, social media, corporations, whatever. When you define the goal for yourself, and it's a combination of feeling the way you want to feel, living the way that you want to live, and not just this abstract idea of how you should live, you have a lot more agency over your journey and how you move forward. This will also naturally bring you in contact with people who respect what you're doing and you have shared values with, okay? You realize that true connection is not just based on superficial interests or superficial similarities, it's based on shared values. So for me, one of my values is being able to really nurture and support other people wanting to live their best life. So I naturally come in contact with people who feel the same way, and we connect over that, and our conversations are an extension of that shared value. Another value is that I want efficient conflict resolution. I do not want resentment to build in any of my relationships. I believe in like honest and considerate communication, and then I connect with people who have that shared value. As you identify what your values are and you develop a sense of integrity and you are true to your word and true to your values in the way that you act, it will also become clear to you that there might be people in your life or that you encounter that are not on the same wavelength as you or do not have the same shared values as you do. It's not like you just wake up one day and you're free from cringe and you're free from discomfort. It's that things will naturally shift around you according to where you put your attention and your energy and what you prioritize. And it can be really confronting sometimes when people that you assumed you had shared values with or things that you assumed that you wanted, you actually don't connect with anymore, or you actually don't want anymore, or you're realizing they're not actually conducive to you being hot and having fun, living your best life. That was an illusion that you now need to let go of. That's also normal, so don't get too caught up in that. People that have actually made a positive contribution to the world and reaped the benefits of overcoming cringe are never going to judge you for being cringe. I am always going to cheer people on for taking a step versus not taking a step. Even if the step that you take was maybe not ideal, or it wasn't quote unquote perfect, or it was not the success that you hoped it to be, there is always value in the attempt. People that sit around and just judge everybody and love to talk about who is cringe, who isn't cringe, I bet they haven't done much with their life. I bet they are deeply insecure. I bet they are yet to take any steps towards even uncovering who their authentic self is. And the people that are always making attempts, learning from their mistakes, growing, contributing to their community, those are the people that I respect. I'm never going to put someone down for trying. Only through pushing through your own internalized cringe can you connect with those people who are going to not judge you for doing your best, for making attempts to live your best life. They want to see you win too, because that's the value system that they needed to adopt in order to be in their position. So I think that, for me now, there is nothing more off-putting to me than someone who tries to connect with me over talking badly about other people who are objectively doing better than that person. It's so obvious that it comes from a place of insecurity and jealousy. And until you start working through that jealousy and that insecurity, can you actually garner the respect of people that have done the same? I've had so many different phases in my life, and I've tried so many different things that I have subsequently learned from, things that have done well, things that haven't done well, but I ultimately learned something from. You don't learn how to be better if everything is already good. You know what I mean? You need to have this contrast and experience between fluff, between slay, between periods of being really busy, between periods of being not so busy, between periods where everything feels really easy, to periods where things feel like, nothing is really going right, you're not really sure what the next step is. All of this contributes to your awareness and your understanding of your lived experience and how you can continue to adjust to live your best life. It can't be that you are on a high at all times, because eventually you become desensitized to your experience. So you can only appreciate the highs if you've already experienced and embraced the lows. You cannot experience a cringe-free existence if you don't embrace the cringe first. I think also for me, my approach, I try to make sure that I'm adding value, whether it's I'm just being funny, whether it's sharing some kind of information or point of view, or attempting to connect ideas or connect with people. I try to make sure that it's not just about me extracting from the world around me. So even if I do it in a way that other people think is weird, someone got something out of it. And this can be on a small scale or a wider scale. But when you have that approach, you're not that worried about people who don't like what you do, because your intention is to connect with people that see the world in a way that is similar to you, to better understand your own experience and to help other people do that as well. It's always people that add absolutely nothing to the vibe or feel entitled to the vibe being right for them, rather than how they can contribute to the vibe, that are constantly judging everyone around them and trying to be the final boss of what is and isn't cringe. And sometimes you have to acknowledge that that is the state that you're living in. You have to accept and befriend your insecurity in order to develop a healthier relationship with it. It's not that you are never insecure again, it's that you develop a healthier response when your insecurities are triggered. I'm not free of insecurity, and I'm not free from cringe. I'm not free from mental blocks that come with things that I want to work towards. But rather than allowing them to spiral out of control, I try to ensure that I'm reconnecting with myself. I'm doing things that I enjoy. I'm thinking and considering what my contribution is in the pursuit of the things that I want to do. And then the insecurity takes up a lot less space in my mind than what can be done to move me forward. When the insecurity takes up more space than the steps that you can take, that's when your insecurity takes over and you start to spiral. So having different practices in place that allow you to recenter, that's what you return to whenever you feel like you're being overwhelmed with a fear of being perceived, a fear of cringe, a fear of your insecurities. Radical acceptance of your experience and the multidimensionality of it. When you have a set of values and a purpose that goes beyond just other people's approval, you just care less naturally. I have so many TikTok videos, so many podcast episodes, working on these YouTube videos too. There are plenty of people who don't like what I do and what I have to say, but I've received enough positive feedback from people, and I've also benefited so much from embracing this process as well. Learning how to deal with online hate, learning how to communicate my thought process and my point of view you. These are all things that have also benefited me as well, even when it has been really tough, even when I have experienced cringe, whether internally or externally. But at the end of the day, for me, it's still a net positive. So I continue to reflect on how I can take what I've learned and either continue or apply to whatever I'm working on next. Focus your efforts on things that you can control and in ways that make a positive contribution. You are free. You know, other people's words, other people's judgments aren't going to affect you as much. And there might be days where you are really affected by what people say about you, what people say to you, and that's okay. But you can't let that be every day. Maybe rather it being 10 out of 10 days, reduce it to 9 out of 10 days, 8 out of 10 days, 5 out of 10 days, 1 out of 10 days, to the point where you're just living your life and you notice a judgment from inside of you or outside of you, and rather than attaching to it, you just let it float away. And things like hot girl habits and having self-care practices, in my opinion, are what will help you to stay grounded. But you can figure out what sort of rituals and what sort of habits will work for you.
Okay, another thing I want to say is that everybody cringes over their former self, because even if other people are attached to the things that you've done, which is a beautiful thing, it's so normal to look back on previous versions of yourself and feel a slight discomfort or dissonance with that version of you. That is an indication of growth. If you feel like viscerally connected to versions of you from many years ago, I fear that maybe you've not experienced any character development. So it's okay to have cringe. Don't let other people shame you, or don't let yourself shame yourself. Just because you consume the final product of other people's experience doesn't mean that they didn't also have like a emotional roller coaster in the process of getting there. And being honest with yourself and other people about that is how you connect with people, because that's just part of the human experience, you know. And you just never know who is going to see and appreciate what you have done. You know, I never would have expected that I would receive the kinds of messages that I do from people about the content that I've made or like the projects that I've worked on, and like literally thinking about them makes my eyes water because I'm so grateful. So life is to be lived and to be shared, and everyone deserves to be happy and to be their best self. This is not about being more like me. It's about being the best version of you that you can be. And I love and support you on that journey wherever in the world you are, in whichever time, space, dimension that you are watching this video.
Those are my thoughts. Stay hot and having fun. Let me know what you thought of this video in the comments. And if you have any topic requests, thank you so much for subscribing, supporting, follow me on all the things, subscribe to French Crush with Amber Killer. There's so many episodes already. Over 100, I would say, if you want more content. There's a lot of audio podcast episodes if you need something to listen to while you're cleaning or going on a hot girl walk. And drink lots of water. Tell your friends and family that you love them. I'll speak to you soon. Love you lots. Bye!